everyone, welcome back to Geekvolution After Dark. I am Captain Logan.
I'm Mark.
Patrons, thanks a bunch for being here, watching this, and always, of course, for helping us out with the programs. We sure appreciate it. And we're back to talk to you for another hour about all kinds of random things. Eric, we've got another patron question tonight that is another big kind of ethereal, lofty sort of question.
Is it life?
Well, you know, kind of.
Okay.
It is going to sort of be the opposite of the death show. So, I mean, a death and life show, or a life and death show, but not in that order.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway. Well, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right.
Eric and I just got done with an evening of movie watching. Mm-hmm. We went to the theater and saw Lego Movie 2, and then we saw...
Not the second piece, which is the obvious title. It's like a Ralph breaks the internet kind of a thing. I'm like, that clearly isn't the title it should be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that title, like, the second part ends up really having all that much to do with that movie, but the second piece, like, really wouldn't. You know what I mean? Because it sounds like a puzzle sort of thing. Like, no, I get that. I understand that. It's just, it wouldn't really mean anything. Like, it's
that doesn't mean anything now. Second part doesn't mean anything to that movie.
Well, I mean, it does if you know, it's an ongoing story, and you know, part 1, part 2. Like, I wonder if the idea, and I'm not sure if I'm right about this. It's been a while since I put together like a large Lego set that was actually like Lego branded. Mm-hmm. But I think some of those larger sets, the instructions were in multi-parts.
Okay. That
might be what they're thinking.
Okay.
I don't know.
I always assumed it was just a joke. Or it was like Lego Movie 2, the second part.
Yeah.
And then we watched Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah. Not to give too much away about the second Lego movie, but I couldn't remember for the life of me if the first movie did this, so I might be crediting it for something that movie did, but I don't think it does. I like the numbered bricks. They keep showing you the numbers of the specific bricks they're using.
Yeah, I don't remember if the first movie did that either.
I thought that was really cool.
That seems like a thing that would have been in the first movie, but I don't know.
I don't think
it's like Master
that.
Builder Vision.
Yeah, but I think that's really cool because you know those all have numbers. And I'm sure it's accurate. Like, that's fun. And then Chronicles of Riddick was crazy, and we'll talk about that, both of those things in the omnibus. But anyway, that's what we've been doing this evening. Why don't we just jump right into topics tonight? Eric, what do you want to talk about first?
Sure.
Sir?
So, on the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man DVD, there's
my movies are over there. That's where all the superhero movies are.
There's a special feature about...
And that's why he's pointing that way.
About Spider-Man. Which I miss those so much.
Me too.
But there's
we'll occasionally still get one, but they're not great.
Yeah.
Much of the time.
Although, in their defense, going back to a lot of those old ones, those aren't great either.
Some of them are.
Some of them are. The Daredevil one is phenomenal.
Yeah, and the Death of Superman one on the Superman Doomsday one is wonderful.
Yes.
But not watered down at all.
No.
You know?
No.
I wouldn't call it warts and all, because, I mean, those people all got along pretty well when they were making that, as far as anyone can tell. But they talk about the pros and cons of the death thing and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, they're real aware of the future.
It's the reason to own that DVD.
Yeah, no, it really is. And it kind of hurts my feelings that we've now attempted that again, and it wasn't great, in my opinion. We're going to talk about Reign of the Supermen on the next omnibus.
I would say it was bad.
And, yeah, well, I don't want to give away too much, but it's bad. But I mean, like, but I was thinking about that, where I was like, not that you should go back and try to redo that special feature because it's so good, but like, you know, we used to have those, and
there is that extensive one on Dark Knight Returns. Where we found that,
it almost felt like Superman Doomsday had more reverence for the material just because that was on that. It doesn't make any sense, but like, anyway.
So in that, there's a point where Stan Lee says. So this is kind of going to be...
On the Spider-Man thing.
Yeah, on the Spider-Man thing. So this is kind of going to be a two-tiered question.
Sure.
So Stan Lee says that it's kind of like Walt Disney. And I'm not comparing myself to him, but Walt Disney created hundreds of things. When you say Walt Disney, you think Mickey Mouse. Spider-Man's like that for me. So I have two questions. The first one is, at this moment in time...
Okay.
Is Stan Lee as big as Walt Disney? Has he actually? Would that now be him being humble? At least as far as public consciousness. And the second question is that still true with Spider-Man? is Spider-Man still the thing everyone associates with him?
Boy, those are great questions. Yeah, let's talk about that. So can I give you the joke answer first?
Sure.
Not if you're Bill Maher.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Now, although, maybe he thinks that about Walt Disney.
You know what? That's
he's-
fine. He just makes fucking kids' cartoons. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, who cares?
We grew up and started watching movies with real people in
Yeah,
them.
we're supposed to think he's great because what? He made a couple of theme parks.
Yeah.
By the way, Bill Maher has. Somebody asked me to talk about this tonight, and I don't want to go on about it. So
Did he triple down?
He has tripled down on his program, no less.
Wow.
I'm not watching it. I don't care. Like I'm not going to look at it. I don't. But like, and continues to just get lambasted by everybody. Like nobody thinks it's a good idea for him to be saying what he's saying. Like it's preposterous.
Yep. Oh, I also bet that nobody is actually like giving the argument that I gave, where it's like, okay, but even if he was important to people's childhoods, he was important to people's childhoods.
Yeah. And would you say the same thing about like Dr. Seuss?
Yeah. But everyone's just yelling at him, telling him he's a fucking idiot.
Shel Silverstein.
Yeah. Or Walt Disney.
Okay. Yeah. So let's go to that.
So question
question one.
Is Stan Lee in the public consciousness as big as Walt Disney now?
Right now, yes.
Right now, yes. You think so?
I think it also helps that Disney owns his properties.
That's true, but I think they would have been where they are even if Disney hadn't bought them. The MCU.
I don't know about that. It's hard to say.
Do you think they would have had the do you think they wouldn't have had the budget to do what they?
Well, they might have built it. I mean, like without Disney, do they still become like a multi-billion-dollar industry? Yeah, maybe, but I think Disney has helped to make all that as popular as it is to some degree. I don't know. I guess I don't know if I'm right about that.
Because remember, Avengers hits before Disney.
No, it doesn't.
Well, Disney buys them.
What are you talking about?
Disney buys them before Avengers comes out. But Avengers is the last movie they make on their own without Disney. If I remember correctly. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure that's how that drops.
I mean, the deal goes through in 2010, and it doesn't take as long as this Fox thing did. But that may be true that Disney didn't
I thought
actually have
Avengers
their
was the
fingers in
last
until
thing that
after
they made without Disney, but maybe it's just because that was the last one distributed by Paramount. Maybe I'm wrong.
But that's kind of neither here nor there, because by 2012, everyone was most assuredly associating Marvel with Disney. And Disney was putting out plenty of Marvel product.
That's true.
That was certainly going on.
That's true.
Boy, it just doesn't feel that long ago.
No.
But anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I think there is a close association where like people think Marvel, they think Disney now, and so in that sense, you have those two men almost like, I don't want to say synonymous, but you know what I mean. Where
well, at this point, do kids know that Walt Disney is a person?
I don't know that some of them do. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because like I did, but when I was growing up, like I remember on Sundays they used to have the Wonderful World of Disney, and they would run those introductions that Walt Disney had.
And in that sense, for younger generations, Stan Lee would be bigger because everybody knows who that is.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch those movies, everybody's waiting for the cameo. Like everybody in that audience knows who that is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now I'm sure kids that keep up with Marvel movies know who Stan Lee is and know that he just died and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think at this point, it's funny because this is like a question I asked years ago with video games, where I asked if Mario was bigger than Mickey Mouse now, and I think this is a similar kind of thing.
Well, and I think when he says that he's completely like, he is nowhere in that stratosphere. He's nowhere near Walt Disney.
No, I
don't
think he was being self-aggrandizing when he said that.
No,
I think it was just the obvious comparison where it's like, where it's just an objective fact that very few creators have made as many successful properties as he's made, or like recognizable characters, or even that many characters at all. Like, regardless of whether or not they were successful, very few people have created that many characters and put them to a book or to screen or something.
Well, and the point in that, in the grander context, is that everyone associates Mickey Mouse with Walt Disney.
Yeah.
Everyone associates Stan Lee with Spider-Man.
Stan Lee with Spider-Man, yeah. And obviously, when that first movie comes out and it's huge, everybody is associating. That's I think when a lot of people first even know who Stan Lee is. Like, he was already known before that, but I mean, like, I think in the grander consciousness, I think Stan Lee kind of is born in 2002.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know if he is until later. Like, he's not really... Although, I remember seeing him on the news and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember seeing him... I remember, like, my grandfather telling me that he watched him on, like, 60 Minutes, where he talked about how he didn't get any money for the Spider-Man movie.
Exactly, and that news was big that was all over the place.
Yeah.
He won a big settlement. I don't know if you remember that, but he won a big settlement for that.
Yeah.
And now you're right. Like once Marvel again becomes a multi-billion-dollar company with movies, and he becomes much more of a household name. But like I think he was a lot bigger at that point.
No, you're right. Well, and when he records that, I don't think the movie's out yet, or I don't think the movie's out yet. And
so
like,
it's definitely true when he says it.
But like, well, and yeah, because comic book people do associate him with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like I think his autobiography, the one that came out in like the late '80s, early '90s, like it's a picture of him and Spider-Man.
And at that point, even if you know your stuff and you know what characters Stan Lee was involved in creating and which ones he wasn't, there are names that come to mind, and I'd say for you and I even now, there are names that come to mind for other Marvel characters even that he created before Stan Lee. Like when I think X-Men, I don't think Stan Lee, I think Chris Claremont.
Of course.
I've
heard Frank Miller on Daredevil.
Yeah. And even I even think of like Windsor Smith before I think of Stan Lee. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and probably at least for you at this point, Simonson for Thor.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Stan Lee didn't have the definitive run on any of the characters. Even Avengers.
Well, he did Spider-Man, but that was maybe the one.
Yeah, but well, and I think that Spider-Man is the one he figures out the best
and the fastest.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like when you go read other things, they're dicking around with aliens and stuff for like issues and issues. He doesn't know what the Marvel universe is. Spider-Man, he's got like almost like immediately.
But Fantastic Four and Silver Surfer, I do think of Stan Lee first.
Yes.
Before anybody else.
Yes.
Yeah. Even if you can say he didn't have the definitive one on either of those characters, what he did with Silver Surfer, I guess. But
yeah. I mean, honestly, Fantastic Four. I know Stan. I know Stan. Like I think Kirby. I know that's not writing, but
right.
But like immediate word association, I think Kirby on Fantastic Four. But
with the whole First Family thing, and you wouldn't have Marvel without that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I do think of Stan Lee first when I think of Fantastic Four.
I just think of all the crazy.
But that doesn't answer your question.
Yeah.
This is a side tangent, and that's what this show is for.
Yes,
So fuck it. That's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, to answer your second question, I don't know. What's very interesting about it is I think Marvel as an entity is. And this has always been true for fans, where we think of Marvel. A lot of people think of Marvel as a universe before they think of specific characters in Marvel, unlike DC with Batman or Superman or whatever, Wonder Woman, whatever. But I think that the masses now have that with the movies in a way that they wouldn't have before. So I think people think of Stan Lee in association with characters he didn't even create at this point. You know what I mean?
Guardians.
Like, and Deadpool. He had a cameo in that movie. I think people... And I don't mean that everybody's ignorant and they don't know that he didn't create those characters. I think some people probably don't know or wouldn't even care. It's Marvel. Marvel's just... he created that world, so who cares who created the individual characters, right? But yeah, I don't know if... I mean, I think it's still Spider-Man first to some degree, but... I don't know that that's a real easily answered question.
Anecdotally, I asked you.
Will it be down the road is the question. You know? And Black Panther's getting so big that...
I don't think that's ever going to be first. It's the first thing you associate with Stan Lee, right?
Probably not. But I think there could be some things that tie it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So anecdotally, I asked this question to two people I asked this question to two coworkers.
You should have taken like 100-person survey.
I should have. I only asked two people.
Okay.
I asked two people. One of which is the
Would
least.
you come to this more prepared
is
next time?
the least up on pop culture person on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one's a little bit ahead of him, but not much.
Do I know who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Guy from work.
Yeah, I was supposed to be here.
Yes, that's exactly who I thought you were talking about.
Okay, so I asked him and his friend.
So did you ask that question, or did you say what character do you associate?
Yes. Who do you associate Stan Lee with? And they both just kind of said Marvel and Avengers.
There you go.
Isn't it interesting that theoretically...
and Avengers is another property that I could see people doing that with.
I could see that at this point, like Avengers is which is weird. It's the book he bails on almost... Well, X-Men's the book he bails on the fastest, but Avengers he doesn't... I don't think he makes it to 50. Like, he makes it past 50 with Daredevil. Like...
Some of the big iconic stuff is in that first 50
for Avengers.
For Avengers,
yeah, but I mean, yeah, but like Avengers codifies when Roy Thomas comes on.
Sure, and I don't know a lot about that as a book. I mean, my knowledge of Avengers is real flaky, but like is Kang in there in the first 50?
Yes, Kang is in there.
Okay, so like there's that. There's the famous Loki story at the beginning, which we used for Avengers.
Well, and Baron Zemo's there. Like I'm not saying nothing happens in the first 20, and he sets up immediately that is a rotating team that never has a constant. But he also did with Iron Man. We just gave up on that.
He did not do that with X-Men.
No.
Like that was, and for the longest time we didn't do that. Like that's kind of the constantly bringing in new characters thing is kind of a Claremont thing.
No, we did that before that.
Did we?
Roy Thomas does that. He brings in Polaris and Havoc, and
yeah, but he doesn't do it as often.
No, not.
And he doesn't have the pantheon,
and no one ever leaves.
Okay.
We just kind of like add a couple of cast members, but it's not like the rotating
with Claremont. Yeah.
But so yeah, anecdotally,
I've never read
Avengers.
any of the Roy Thomas stuff. I would be curious to do.
So
that.
the Roy Thomas stuff, I read a little bit of because I have like an oversized. It's like 3 issues, and it was like the Sentinel stuff. And it's because reading stuff out of context when you're a kid, like there's this guy who's like a minion for Magneto. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, Magneto, whatever. Like, we just cut away. It's just a subplot, like a 1-page subplot. He's like, I'm sorry, Magneto. And then Magneto, like, falls apart. And he's like, oh, no! My master was a robot the entire time! Because for some reason, Magneto had a robot impersonating him. And, like, I don't know. But it's drawn by Neil Adams. That's his first, or some of his first major comic book work.
Oh, interesting.
And it's amazing. Like looking at what's going on around him, and then looking at what he's doing, and like he has characters like leaping out of panels and things, and like it's like when you compare that even to stuff like what Kirby's doing, what Ditko's doing, and some of the other artists at the time.
Brand new.
Yeah, he's like his art is mind blowing. Yeah.
He's innovating like Steranko was innovating.
But I've only ever read that Master Mold storyline.
That's interesting.
There's also, I'm not just going to tell you about what happens in this.
You remember Master Mold in the 90s animated series? You will replace Senator Kelly's brain!
There's this bit, so Havoc's powers are linked to this character called the Living Monolith. I don't know if we ever keep doing anything with that, but at least initially his powers are linked to the Living Monolith, who's this guy who he takes his powers from Havoc and he gets like big. And there's a point in this story where he's like, I feel it. I feel the powers coming on. Like he's growing, like he's starting to grow. And then Sentinels just show up and like shoot him and stop him. Because Living Monolith has the big famous first where he's like grabbing the logo and breaking it, which we then later do with Dark Phoenix. Anyways, cool. What's your first topic?
That's a great topic.
I thought so. I thought that was pretty good.
I wonder.
I think it's a little sad
with your 2-person sample set. I wonder how true that is of.
I think Avengers is probably
of like people in their early 20s, and that kind of thing. Like I think most people probably that pay any attention to that stuff probably know that Spider-Man is his creation, but is it the first thing they think of?
Yeah, which I think is a little sad.
Yeah,
because I mean, if
is
we're
it
just
because things are changing, is that why it's sad, or is it?
It's
or
sad
are you worried
because
that the legacy will be kind of wrong, or
it's sad because that's the 2 characters I think he should most be associated with, just in like how much he put into it, like of himself, is Spider-Man and Silver Surfer.
Yes. Yeah.
Like those are the 2 characters I think he invested the most of himself in, and like
I mean, his wife always said. Spider-Man was him before anybody else was.
Yeah, and so like, for that reason alone, I feel like it should be. But it's also like that's that thing where like, do kids like Wolverine? Like, I don't think Spider-Man's the Marvel character the way he used to be. I don't think he's completely lost like kind of the X-Men have for the past decade. But
I've been making the argument for several years that Spider-Man is just not the moneymaker it used to be. And you have to wonder how much of the success of Homecoming was Spider-Man and how much of it was Marvel.
Yeah. Now, I do think the next one will. I think Far From Home will do way better than Homecoming.
Yeah.
Because I think the only reason Homecoming didn't make even more is I do think there's some brand damage that was like being dealt with in the public consciousness. But I think after Homecoming and Infinity War.
Well, and I also think Spider-Verse helps.
That's true.
I do, because I think Sony might have regained a little bit of consumer confidence with that movie. It didn't do giant guns, but most people that liked it really liked it. I mean, most people that saw it, not just liked it, really liked it.
Most people loved it.
And you're right, and Venom did really well.
And Venom did really well.
And so the fear, of course, is that Sony's going to get too big for their britches like they always do, and when the contract is up, try to make live-action Spider-Man movies, which is a mistake. It's a giant mistake. They need to leave him where he is.
Yeah.
And they need to run with the Spider-Verse thing because I think if they do it right, their next Spider-Verse movie could make more money than the first one did. I really believe that.
If they're smart, they'll do...
That should be their shared universe.
They'll do one a year or one every other year for like 5 years, and then they'll do a second Spider-Verse.
Yeah. That's what they should be doing.
Yeah.
And they're golden, but they still seem to have that attitude. And now that we've seen it, and now that we've seen the reaction to it, they were weirdly smart to do an animated film. But I still think they're going to get too big for their britches, and I think that they're going to stay kind of jealous and hurt that Spider-Man's doing well with Marvel in the live-action thing, and they're still going to treat it like live-action is more legitimate than animation, and the numbers do bear out that way.
Yeah, it's not
like, going to do live-action numbers, but it's also not as expensive to make as one of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not like Spider-Verse did Spider-Verse did not make as much as Homecoming. Like it's not like they're like, oh, we can...
It didn't even get close, but it's
not...
not...
make as much as Venom?
No, of course not. But I mean, it's an animated film. It's not going to.
Yeah.
No, Venom did like $800 million.
But before it came out...
Well, and I say that. Pixar movies do the kinds of numbers that some of the Marvel movies do.
Before it came
they
out,
have done that.
You and I had a conversation where you predicted that it might make live-action numbers.
I thought it had the chance to, but it didn't.
I think a sequel might.
That's what I'm saying. I think so too. Yeah.
We'll see how they manage the films in between. Because the films in between, they can't keep quality control up on.
The reason I said that, and yeah, of course I was wrong because animation in this country, but like the reason I think I was wrong about that is because people don't have confidence in Sony, and why should they? But then word of mouth went around. Oh, it's really good. People should go see it. I think if they use the right characters, and they don't get too insanely ambitious too quickly, they're in good shape. I think if the next thing they did was a standalone Miles Morales movie, they're in great shape. And like, I know that first movie was all about Miles. I would make your second movie either the Miles movie you and I wanted, or I would make it a Gwen movie. And I know you don't want crossover right away, or a Gwen Miles movie. That would be the other thing to do. Just
sure.
I'm talking about business-wise.
Yeah.
People like those characters together.
No, Gwen's obviously, I think, the next thing you do.
And I want $29.99, but I don't know that sells great immediately.
I really want $29.99.
That's what I want. I don't think that's going to sell great immediately.
I also want a Scarlet Spider movie. Because imagine that costume in that aesthetic.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you can make it look so cool.
It'd be wonderful. Yeah. Do like a way simplified, Clone Saga thing.
You could do a really cool, fun Clone Saga thing.
I think so too. And like they proved that they could sort of make the Spider-Verse thing work in 2 hours. Like you could do Clone Saga in 2 hours.
Yeah.
If you did it right.
Yeah, I think so.
And it would be hilarious because that was so long and convoluted, and it would be really funny to see it streamlined and done well in one movie. But my fear is your fear, and I know I like that movie more than you did. But my fear,
I didn't hate that movie. I feel like people think I hate that movie.
I know.
And I probably just drops off my list for Deadpool just to be controversial, but
that's okay.
I don't know.
I also think if you see it again, you'll like it better. And I know walking out, you weren't in a big hurry to go back and see it. That's fine. You like what you like.
Just so everyone knows, I didn't look at the reaction for that movie and then make my opinion. I walked out of the movie, and almost all my complaints, I voiced a cat before anything.
Yeah, and
like this is what I thought while watching the movie.
Yeah, and he and I unusually walked out with pretty different experiences. Like I was pretty blown away by it. Second viewing, I didn't like it quite as much, and I think you'll have the opposite thing.
You think I'll like it?
I think you'll go in and you'll like it. I think you'll pick up on some things that I did that made me like it as much as I did, and I think that, and this is not me saying, look at me, I'm better than you. I picked up on things on the second viewing that you didn't like that I didn't pick up the first time. You see what I'm saying? So I didn't like it quite as well. I think you will like it more.
I kind of wish it was on DVD right now because I'm in like a spidery mood right now, and I want to watch it in that mood.
You'd be interested to see it while you're thinking about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, let's go ahead and get to the patron question for today, Eric. We could talk about Spider-Man all day. The patron question for today is from a new patron to the $15 tier. Thanks a bunch, Clark Whitfield, and he had a difficult time coming up with a question. This is his question. He says he was like, okay, let's do this. He says, what do you guys think the point of life is? The point of life.
So it is the meaning of life.
It is for you personally and overall.
Okay.
Yeah. So what? So what? Not the meaning of life, but the point of life. So not why are we, so not like how did
Not
we
like
come
a
to
grand
be,
cosmic sense.
but like not the grand cosmic thing. Just like why personally are we here, and what do we personally think people should be doing with their lives? I guess is like the reason for existence.
Sure. I don't have a great answer.
Yeah.
Because like thinking through it in my head, I come up with answers, and then I'm like, well, but part of it is I think culturally across the entire planet we have everything fucking backwards. So to me, the point of life, I guess, would be like experiencing it and like spending it with people that you care about, and like ultimately, I mean, this kind of comes back to that thing. Like when I'm at the end of my life, I want to personally feel like I've lived a good life. I don't really care what happens after that or what people think of me, as long as I feel like I've done a good job. Like that's the point, is just experiencing all of it. But I also have end of the line kind of a thing where like I'm still waiting to get a good job. I'm still waiting for like my life to start.
You feel like your life hasn't really gotten started yet.
Yeah.
At least in some ways.
Yeah. So I'm probably not the best person to ask this, but I mean the experiences are the point.
Yeah.
And like I feel like art constantly reinforces this, where it's, you know, I want my pain, I need my pain. Like that's the point of life, is experience.
To experience it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, you know, when you say like live the best life you can, like for yourself or for other people.
I mean,
like, how important is it to you to leave a good impact? I know you said you don't care necessarily what happens after you, but I can't help but care about that to some degree. It's also interesting how this question is intrinsically linked to our last
Yeah.
to the death question.
I mean, for me, living a good life and being a good person are interlinked.
Yeah,
but I don't.
So you're not just saying like experience everything you can at like the expense of anyone else. That's not living a good life.
No. Just yeah. Not to be, but that doesn't mean it's. But also, it also doesn't mean it's not. It's kind of that relative morality thing where, at least for me personally, the goal is to get to the end and go, yeah, I think I did what I wanted to do. I think I did okay.
So
now,
sort of a bucket list mentality.
Now, if all you wanted to do was like go snowboarding, like if you wanted to be the world's best snowboarder, you became world's best snowboarder, or you just want to be an okay snowboarder, and you're an okay snowboarder, like that's all that's important. You pushed away all of your friends and family. Like in your eyes, you lived a good life, and that's what's important. Not a bucket list mentality. Just I want to. I mean, when I die, I want to be okay with the life I lived.
Yeah.
Like I want to not feel like I was a failure.
But some of that is conscience too.
Yeah. But I'm saying that, like, if you have a different conscience than me...
Okay, I see what you're saying.
In my alien, like, from above, like, just grand statements, you live the best life you want, that you could live, that you can live as who you are as a person.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I don't have answers. I also don't believe in answers.
Yeah, and I think that's where you and I agree most. Like we've talked about religion recently, and at one time, I was a religious person, and I have fallen way away from that, as I've talked about here before. And so I used to believe in God, now I believe in people. And I do, for myself anyway, because I appreciate your relative morality thing, and I don't mean to say that all morality is relative. I don't think it is. I think that there are very broad ideas of right and wrong that seem to be kind of inherently linked to like the human condition, or linked to like human beings thriving. It's interesting how if you do what people generally consider to be like good things for the rest of the culture, like you know, golden rule, and not killing folks and not stealing shit and things like that, everybody we tend to be happier, and we tend to all get along better. And it just seems like there's like a science to morality, or morality and science are kind of married, and I've always thought that was really interesting.
Well, I wouldn't, like, if somebody's, like, cool with killing, like, that's a different thing, like, relative morality, but, like, I know lots of people that are very, like, you do what you have to do to get further in life. Like, it doesn't matter who you step on or who you hurt. Like, the point of life is being successful. I've met a lot of people like that. That's a different morality than what I have.
Yeah.
And if that's what makes those people happy,
See,
at the end of the day,
I have a hard time with that because I just don't think that that kind of thinking is overall conducive to, like, having a good society. And if you're stuck living in the society you're living in, then it's probably not conducive to you having a great life either.
But that is the society we live in.
Yeah, and look at all the problems.
Yeah, look at Disney.
Yeah. Like, that seems to be short-term thinking.
No,
you
I
know,
agree.
like it works okay in the short term, but not as much in the long
Well,
term.
and it's also a very materialistic idea of success.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you say all I care about is success, like, okay, how do you define it? Because different people define that differently. But anyway, so like for me, I have the, I guess, the short term and the more long term. And it's way of looking at this where I'm with you. I have a very life is short kind of mentality where it's difficult for me to be too careful about too careful in general sometimes because I think I've only got so many years on the planet, but of course you don't want to be like super unhealthy and help yourself die faster, so like you do have to be kind of careful about that, but I want to be a risk taker. You know what I mean? Like I think life is kind of pointless without taking risks. I think you have to find a balance in everything, and I think you want to be careful enough that you can live a long life, and not so careful that
you didn't live while you were living.
That the point isn't just to live as long as you can. Like, if I can't count it as actually living, meaning I'm getting something worthwhile out of it, then I'm not alive, and then who cares?
Well, and I'll also say something that I'm gaining as I get older.
Yeah.
Or a perspective I'm gaining as I get older is the use of experience.
Yeah.
Like, there are things that that just being older and having been through life, I now kind of get more, where I'm like, okay, so it's like sometimes people do know what they're talking about when they're, like, it's just a different perspective, and
it makes you appreciate difficulty more. It makes you appreciate challenge and pain and sweat and blood. And
everything's getting you to the point that you're now at.
Yeah.
And it also makes you look back and realize how naive you were in certain ways. And it's very hard to feel like when you're 20, it's really hard to believe that when you're 25, you're going to look back at 20 and be like, God, I was such a kid.
Yeah.
But you will.
Yeah, and
if you're doing it right, I guess.
Every 4 or 5 years, I'll look back at things that I made or things that I did, and I'm like, man, if I had to do it over again, if I did it now, how much better would it be, or how silly does it look now? The nice thing is, as I have gotten older, like, as time, this is, I guess, the nice thing about time passing so quickly as you get older, and especially when you have children, I do look at things now that I made, like, 7 or 8 years ago, and it feels more like I made them more recently, and it's not too far away from the skill set I have now. You know what I mean? Like, when I was like 25 looking at things I made when I was 18, it was like 20, 30 years ago. It's not like that now. So I guess that's kind of good. But you also want to feel like you're constantly improving. But that's not really what this is about. So
but that might be part of the point of life.
Yeah, exactly.
Constant growth.
Yeah, exactly. And it's that really cliche, like, it's more about the journey thing, because you're never going to be perfect. And
that is something I'm coming to appreciate more as I get older.
And if you were, then you might enjoy it for a week and then wish you were dead. Right? And we've read and watched lots of fiction about this, where, like, the point very often is more about trying to obtain a goal than actually getting the goal. We see this with positive and negative things, with heroes and villains. We see this with revenge, and we also see this with trying to create utopia. Nobody's ever happy when they get what they want.
No. There's that famous, I don't remember who it is. There's some famous, like, freedom fighter or something. I might have been a civil rights activist. It's somebody. It's some activist, somebody that famously had said, like, the worst thing that ever happened to me was that we won.
Yeah.
Because now their life didn't have purpose.
Yeah, you hear that a lot with activists. And that's part of the root of PTSD. You win the war. What now? You know, this is
don't ever achieve anything is what we're trying to say.
No, I'm not saying that. It's but you have to constantly set your sights higher. You got to have goals, and you don't want your goals to be so lofty that you can never achieve any of them. But you don't want your goals to be so you want attainable goals. You don't want your goals to be so attainable that when you've gotten the one thing you cared about, there's nothing left. I think this is why I have a collecting mentality, and this is why I'm a collector. It's
a question I always have about collecting, where it's like, yes, but what happens when you finish?
You don't. And that's why
you start a new collection.
Yeah, or you collect things you can never get all of. Like, it is fun to have complete smaller collections, but like what I love about comics is like I'm never going to be done. You know, like even if I get complete collections of certain, say, Batman books, I'm never going to get every Batman book. That's fucking impossible. But
there are a couple of people that have done it with Spider-Man.
Yeah,
but amazing. I don't think anybody has all of Spider-Man.
But like exactly, it's like you might get all of Detective, but you're never going to get, you know, and that's only if you're filthy rich. But like,
I mean, all of Detective is less attainable than all of Batman.
Yes, it is. Yeah, because one of those books is worth close to $1 million.
Which means that the 28 has to still be a couple $100,000, right?
Yes.
Like it's not like it's 27, and after that everything's $100.
The first 100 are probably all over a couple thousand. It's been a while since I looked, but yeah. No, Amazing is attainable. Still, especially if with the early books you did low grade, and I intend to get all of Amazing, but that remains the book that most comic collectors are looking for complete runs of. So it's going to take a while, and also when people say like, "Oh, you're just one of those people that's going after the same thing everybody else is," it makes me want to collect something nobody else is collecting. So like I go at which is very attainable, and part of why I collect. But you know what's fun?
But there's so much of it. It's difficult.
Yeah, and that's what's so much fun about the Tick, because I keep running into things I didn't even know existed, and there's not a list of everything, and there were a lot of products in the 90s because of the animated series, but we've gotten way off topic, but there's no way to know
the point of life.
For sure if everything. Yeah, it's about the hunt, right?
Yeah.
Like there's.
That's a fun way to put it.
Yeah,
that feels like that should be in like a comic book documentary where they're like that's what life is. It's about the hunt.
It's about the hunt.
Because that's what everyone always says about collecting comics is nobody wants to go to the comic store and find everything that they're looking for. It's about the hunt for old comics.
Well, and that's why the internet sometimes makes it. Like, takes the joy out of it a little bit. Like, it's fun to get all of that. Like, for example, last night, I had the chance at getting all of Web of in one fell swoop.
Really?
Yeah, and I almost bid on it, and ultimately I wouldn't have paid what it ended at. But there was an eBay auction, and I was looking at it all day, and it sat at $200 all day. And I say all of Web of.
But you would have kept that. You wouldn't have sold any of that. Right?
No,
or you would have kept anything that wasn't a duplicate.
I would have sold all the ones I had already. I have about 40 issues of that. And I would have sold those. But
I don't think it's much more than like 150.
And I said all of it. It was a full run, but it wasn't everything. It was, or what I mean is, it was a gapless run, but it was 1 through like 123. It was almost all of it.
Okay.
But like there are a few keys in there, like the first appearance of Eddie Brock is in there, and some other like Eddie Brock before he's Venom, like that's in there.
Oh, it's the push, right?
I can't remember
because I don't think Eddie Brock shows up before, but I know there's a panel where like it's Venom's hands pushing Spider-Man into
it's like some kind of a cameo thing. I don't remember what it is. And then, but you might be right. And then, like the first appearance of Tombstone is in there. There's a few things.
Oh, interesting. I thought Tombstone was spectacular.
No, it's Web of.
Interesting.
I didn't know that either until I looked at that auction.
He comes in way later than I think. He's like late 80s.
Yeah, well, because Web of doesn't start until what, early 80s, or is it late 70s?
I think it's early 80s. I think you're right.
I think that's right. But anyway, but like, on the one hand, it would have been really nice to get all of that at once, and on the other hand, then I've got it. You know.
Well, what's nice about what you're doing now is you get to thrill the hunt without having to leave home.
Yeah, no, that's
you just
true.
get boxes. You can still look for. It's like, is there anything I'm looking for?
No, it's funny. Well, that's the thing is, it's still hunting. You know, it's like opening card set. You know, like packs of cards. What I was going to say is, you've probably heard this before. Collecting. When people look at the psychology of collecting, they say that a lot of us have gone to that because human beings are inherently hunter-gatherers and we don't have to do that to survive anymore. So we go to collecting now because it still gives us that thrill without us having to hurt anything and without it having to be about survival. And it's interesting that there are people like you that don't get a thrill out of that because you have to get that from somewhere, according to the psychologists that have studied this.
Yeah, but maybe I get it just through the way I do trades, right?
Maybe so. Sure. Well, and it doesn't even have to be connected to comic books.
Because I'm still finding things and getting them.
But what I mean is, like, even if but if it's not collecting, like, there's something that you do probably that gives you that, or doesn't, or it doesn't, and you're secretly very unhappy because of it.
Or I'm
not saying that.
Or I'm the next level in human evolution, and like I no longer require that.
You don't need that anymore.
Yeah. That's also
that's also less likely, but possible. But anyway,
gaze upon your future.
Ye mighty and despair. The larger point of life beyond like I said, what thrills me right now, and also just my own feelings of bettering myself is what I leave behind. I personally find legacy to be somewhat important, and that's obviously that's part of why you have children. It makes you feel more immortal that you pass things down to your kids, and that part of you is there. It's in the DNA. It's in the upbringing, and I do kind of have that thing where I want to leave the world a little better than I found it, and I also not to throw my parents under the bus, but I want to do better than my parents did, and I want my kids to do better than I did.
And that's attainable.
It is. It sure is. And I
not throwing your parents under the bus, but that's attainable.
And I want my kids to do better than I did. So all of that for me is the point of life.
Sure.
This has become an essay. Let's move on. Eric, what would you like to talk about next? We got about 20 minutes left.
So we're gonna play a game.
Ooh, I love games.
Okay. So
we played a fun game when we watched Chronicles of Riddick. Like, who the fuck is that guy? And I got a lot of them.
You did?
I didn't know the names of some of those people, but there were a lot of people that I was like, that guy showed up in that. The guy who plays Bruce Wayne's dad in Batman Begins is in that movie. I've never seen him in anything else.
Okay, so there's a thing that they do in movies.
He looked very different, and it was 1 year before that.
I had bleached blonde hair.
Because that haircut, yeah. And also that voice he was doing, because everybody's over the top and Shakespearean in that.
When they are.
What a weird-ass film.
So there's a thing they do in movies.
Put that on the cover. Weird-ass film.
There's a thing they do in movies that I've never gotten to do. I'm still not going to do because I'm going to do it to you. But I've never really gotten to I don't know. Is
it a thing that I could do to you down the road?
Yeah. We're just going to do word association.
Oh, cool. Then I love word association.
Okay. So I have 10.
Okay. It's funny because we were talking about this earlier with Stan Lee. Like, who's the first person that comes to your mind?
Yeah. No. And I knew I already had this written down, so I was thinking of that while we were talking.
But this is broader. This is just whatever comes to your mind.
Yeah. This is just 10 words.
When you say a word, I have to say the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Yep.
That's them's the rules. All right.
Color.
Fuchsia.
Dog.
Apollo.
Fresh.
Prince.
Knife.
Cut.
Match.
Set.
Space.
The Frontier.
Claws.
Wolverine.
Robot.
Chicken.
Spiral.
Dragon? You said spiral.
Spiral.
Galaxy.
Skyfall.
Bond.
So yeah.
That's fun!
Yeah. I only had 10. I didn't know how long that would take. I was like, 10 seems like a reasonable amount.
Yeah. I mean, when you're doing a word association thing, like, because it's not trivia, you can knock those out, like, real quick.
I guess that's true. I probably could have done more, but...
Yeah. We should do that again down the road, and I should know it's coming next time. We'll both do it.
Okay.
Because I can come up with 10 off the top of my head right now, I guess. But no, we should do that.
It's harder to come up with that list than I would think it would be, because I'm intentionally trying to keep things not at all like each other.
Yes. The thing is, I've gotten better at that because Jeff and I, and we've done it on camera a couple times and posted it, Jeff and I came up with an anti-word association game. which again we've recorded some. So the idea is you start with something and you don't prepare for it, but you go back and forth, and each word that you come up with has to be as disconnected from the last word as humanly possible, and it's hard. So like, someone will say a thing, and like if you say turtle, I gotta come up with like the least connected word. That I gotta say like fruit cup or something, just like as far away as humanly possible. And
Leaning tower.
Yeah, and also you try to do it for as long as you can until you and you try to trip the other person up, and you and you can't say anything that's been said before. And when you do multiple rounds of it, it gets really hard.
I was going to say something about words.
I forget what we called that. We called that something.
Anti-word association?
No, it had a catchier title.
Word disassociation?
I can't remember. But yeah, but I've always been fascinated by randomness because it's that question of whether anything ever really is, And we talk about this both ways, right? With order and chaos. We're like, is anything ever perfectly ordered? But is anything ever perfectly chaotic either? Yeah, especially when you're talking about...
At some point it becomes like planned chaos.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, you have to take into account the subconscious. And so, like, you might have two words that seem completely disassociative, but because the fact that a person said a word is why you wound up with another word, there may be a whole thought process. They got you there. It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I just did this. If you said fish and I said globe, I got there through the fish eye.
Yeah, so it is connected even if it doesn't sound like it is.
Yeah.
It was very difficult when we played that game to determine whether or not things counted.
I'd imagine you need like a referee.
It wasn't perfect.
There's a podcast that exists now that does each episode is like connected to the previous episode through some like arbitrary like random like every episode is connected to the one before, like it's almost like 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Oh, cool.
It's interesting.
That is interesting. That's a cool way to do a podcast.
Yeah. It's an interesting premise. Anyways,
and kind of convenient for choosing topics, really. Eric, what? Let's go on to another topic.
Yes. Yes.
Let's do something less intellectual.
Shall we?
What is your? So we talked about. And this is actually a topic I had listed from weeks ago that I hadn't gotten to, but it's interesting that it's connected to something we talked about in the letters pages. So somebody was asking us last time in the Omnibus on the letters pages what some of our favorite channels were. What is your least favorite type of YouTube video? What is like a category that you just steer clear of?
Anything that just tells me the story of a comic book. I hate those. I fucking hate them. Especially when they're categorized as reviews. Or as if they're bringing anything insightful to it.
That's misleading, and especially if they're pretending like there's insight. I think that can be useful.
If it's just a quick summary, like, this is what happens. Okay, so you didn't read this miniseries, but...
Here's what happened in it.
Yeah.
And I have thought about making videos like that before, where it's just, if you didn't know about it... Like,
well, and I also think you could do, like, a fun... Like that's silly one.
That's like reference material.
Where like you condense like something like really big and massive, like if we did like Christ on Infinite Earths, but it was just like the bullet points. But like you could do like a silly video like that.
And you could do a summary. You could do sort of an SF Debris kind of thing, where maybe without the ratings and stuff, where you do a summary, but there's a little bit of review inherent in that, like that like it's opinionated.
Yeah. That and I hate reaction videos.
I don't like
reaction videos. Make me want to hit people. So
sometimes I worry about doing things that are too close to reaction videos, where I'm like, what is different about what I'm doing? Like, we'll do blind commentaries, but we're very careful not to call them reaction videos. That's pretty much just a reaction, but I'm careful to make it a podcast in that there's not a lot of dead air.
Well, and it's also not the thing that I hate about reaction videos, which is people acting like obnoxious assholes because there's a camera on them. We're like it's that like when they get like super excited for fucking nothing. Like I'm gonna watch trailer for the new Star Wars. Oh my god, R2-D2! Like, it's that thing. That's what bothers me, is that, like, fake... One of my favorite Red Letter Media videos...
the ones where there's just... Real quick, I also don't like the ones where there's, like, no substance whatsoever. Where it's just a person staring at a screen.
Yeah.
And I don't know why people watch those. It's weird.
One of my favorites is that Red Letter Media did a video like that on purpose, where it's just Rich just sitting there.
Yeah.
No, just blank expression, just watching.
He's making fun of those kinds of videos.
Yeah, and then the video just clicks off. Like, that's it. He just watches the trailer, has no reaction, has no opinion, and then the video just ends.
I'm surprised by some of the kinds of videos that I will occasionally go look at. And as I've said before, I don't watch a ton of YouTube. I'm watching more lately than I used to. But it tends to be about things that I'm not directly dealing with on the channel, because it's kind of a release, you know what I mean? So like I said on the letters pages, like I'm looking at a lot of video game content lately, specifically about retro stuff and collecting, because I don't do as much of that on the channel, and so it doesn't feel like work. And it's interesting, it's not a thing I know a lot about, so I'm learning, you know, and that's fun. But I used to think unboxings were weird, but sometimes I look at those. You know, like that can be fun. Now, I don't really get pull a video game out of the shrink wrap. I don't get those. If you have a box...
I feel like unboxing don't make sense if they don't know what's inside the box, right?
If you have a box and you don't know what's in the box, then that can be interesting. Like, if it's somebody that I'm already familiar with and I like a lot, I like mailbag day type videos.
You'd watch like
the videos...
AVGN, like if he just opened up a package, he's like, I don't know what's in this.
Yeah, no, it's fun. And I like making those, but that's also a thing that I don't like. There's stuff I make that I wouldn't usually watch, but like, and we make those some. That I kind of get. Because it's like, oh, it's a secret. What's in this? You know, it's fun to find out. But yeah, that's a thing. And also, like, I don't watch much gameplay. Some people are really entertaining with it, and I'm starting to get to some degree why people watch those, but I still don't completely get why people will spend hours and hours watching someone else play video games when they could just go play it themselves. Like, I get people like you, Eric, that like aren't really like gamers. But would you sit down and watch someone else play a video game for like a long period of time? Like, I feel like you have to already be a gamer to some degree to want to do that for a lot of things, unless it's like a real story-driven thing.
Okay, so here's the thing. One, only if it's at least two people. I won't do it with one person.
Interesting.
Two, yes, but I get bored. So, like, I watched Game Grumps way back in the day when they first started. They're a big channel.
Yeah, I know what they are. Okay. I've watched a little bit of them. But, again, I'll check in and watch, like, 5 minutes and leave. Like,
I left shortly after John left, because I really like JonTron, and it just was never the same after that. But, like, I'll watch a video, maybe two, and then I get bored. Like, I like they did Sonic 06. I watched the beginning of their Sonic 06.
So
I watched, like, maybe three videos, and I just got bored.
Yeah.
There's Beard Bros, I think, is another one. I've watched some of their, like, Mega Man X stuff. Like, it's not bad. I just get bored. But that might be because I'm not a gamer.
And there's also only so much time in my day. Like,
but I watched the entire Game Grumps for Goof Troop. Like, I watched the entire game because I played that as a kid.
Okay, but that would have only been, like, 2 hours, right? Like...
Yeah, I don't know how long it is. It's a good number of videos.
Oh, weird. Okay, maybe it's really hard. I don't know.
But it's fun. I do find I have fun when they're doing poorly. Like there's like a mutual stress thing where I'm like, oh man. I had an experience last night with a video like this.
Oh, really? Okay.
There was so there's actually a video I want to show you after we finish recording.
Okay.
You showed me last night, just because I think it's really funny. But it's this guy. His comedic sensibilities aren't exactly mine, but it's just him playing video games. But he supercuts it, so it's just the best parts.
Yeah, I don't know why more people don't do that. Like, I've considered doing that. And
it's this game where you're a man in a pot, and you have a sledgehammer, and you have to move. You have to move up things.
Uh-huh.
And, it's one of the most intense experiences I've ever had watching anything ever. Because I watch him be like, huh, and then he falls. And I'm like, oh no! And it's like a shared thing. And it was amazing. So like he spends like 5 minutes trying to get up like this little crevice, and gets up it. But he went too far and went over and had to land it back on the ground. It was amazing. Like I get that. Like I get that more where like it's a struggle and like it's almost like a shared experience. More than just like Like, I don't care about... I more understand regular gameplay when it's almost like that's just an excuse for something to be on the screen while you're talking.
Yeah.
Like
about whatever.
I know people do this
or
for
live shows where you're interacting with people, but that's more fun if you're watching it live and you're doing the interacting.
I know some people do this for like informational videos and things I think K-Wing does like Batman videos where he'll just kind of talk about like the history of a Batman character while he's playing an Arkham game. Like the gameplay's not really what's important.
Or it's pre-recorded and they're just using that to have something on the screen.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
It kind of justifies it being on YouTube more.
Yeah.
Than
what I used to do.
Honestly, that I get more annoyed with some of the kinds of people that watch gameplay videos than I do actual gameplay videos. It bugs me that a lot of people will show up to, and I guess I'm just venting about my own gameplay videos right now, but I've seen this on other channels, where people will show up for gameplay videos and they will expect something very specific, but different people will expect different specific things. So, like, some people want you to be absolutely perfect at the game. But why does that have to be what everybody's doing? And not everyone's looking for that. I don't understand that. So, like, I'll do a video game video and somebody will come in and they'll be like, you fucking suck at this game. And I'm like, well, I know I'm not great at it, but, like, I'm, working my way through it.
Did you read the title of the video?
Yeah. And that's part of why I started doing that. And I gotta be honest with you, I started getting a little bit self-conscious about it, where it was like, I didn't think I was really awful at video games until people started coming in and saying, like, you're just terrible and why do you even bother?
I know I'm awful at video games. You have no idea. So you know that I started playing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And like
today.
And getting my ass kicked every time I'm in a fight. I died like 7 times on Kingpin.
Yeah.
I have it on easy.
Well,
I intentionally put it on easy.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well now I don't feel so bad.
No, I mean, I did that too, but I mean...
Because it's like, do you just want the story? I'm like, yeah, I just want the story.
The difference between us is, I also died a few times playing Kingpin. You can go fucking watch it. Because I didn't play through the whole game, but I posted my first hour. And I didn't do real super hot. I got better at it as I went along.
I'm getting better.
But I don't get why... But I don't get why people will come in and they'll be like, you're supposed to be at this level before you start doing gameplay footage. I don't know if that's true.
That makes sense if that's your primary thing. If you're trying to make a gameplay footage channel.
Sure.
Unless
what's the point of it is you fucking suck and there's comedic value out of that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess that can be fun. But then, I don't know. Like, I gotta figure out a way to do those and, like... And like own it more, because I'll get really apologetic. I'll be playing and I'll be like, okay, I'm sorry we've been here for so long. It's like, well, the title says Cap can't play, and look, he can't. So, whatever.
This is what you signed up for.
Yeah.
You clicked the video,
But I'll get comments where people are like, Cap, I would enjoy these more if you weren't stuck in a room for 20 minutes.
No, that's the reason you come watch me play.
Yeah, I guess... You're gonna get.
You can go see anyone get out of a room in 5 seconds, but only I can be stuck in a room for 20 minutes.
Yeah, the thing that you're missing, guys, if you feel that way, is if you've played through the game and you've played through it very quickly. Like if it was supposed to be a 20-hour game and you beat it in 19 hours, if you watch my gameplay, you're gonna see details you never noticed.
Yep.
Well, Eric, we are about out of time. Do you have like a small thing you want to bring up real quick, or should we call it a night?
Do I truly?
That wasn't a boy, do I? That was a question. Or is everything real heavy?
So, is VR coming back, or
No.
are we just continuing to flirt with the idea of VR eventually being a thing that we can do?
So VR is a thing we can do. There's not flirtation. It remains mostly a novelty, and it's for a couple of big reasons. So I am prepared for this, because I've been watching a lot of video game things, and I've been listening to people
This has
talking
been
about
on my
this.
this has been on my phone for like 2 months.
I've been listening to Metal Jesus and some of his crew talking about this. They bring up VR occasionally, because one of his guys really likes VR, and most of the rest of them, they either get too dizzy playing it, or they just think that it's too much of a novelty. They
I know people that can't play horror games VR.
Because it's too scary.
It's too scary.
Yeah. Well, and that tells you that we're there.
Yeah.
We are ready to do this right. PlayStation should have waited until they could get it under a $500 price point.
And that's not counting the $300 console.
The system in the first place, that's not counting the price of the games. Now, they did make the games a lot cheaper because they're shorter and because they know you just bought a $500 product. And it has come down in price some. I swear to God, people are not going to buy that until it's like $100 or less. And it has remained a novelty. Like, there are some cool games for it, but for the most part, it's look how cool this is, and you play it for 20 minutes, and then you might never pick it up again, is what I've heard. I've not had a chance
I've heard that about the Batman game. I've heard the Batman game's really good. It's like 20 minutes long.
Yeah, it's just not very long. But then you also can't wear a headset for too long either.
Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Or at least most people can. And the thing is, because of... this is just a personal thing for me. I've been afraid to even attempt it. Or certainly I'm not going to pay for it until I know. Because... the way the eyes work with it, I'm afraid I'm gonna get motion sick real bad because of my eyes. And I have been on rides that use a similar effect, where it's not like the glasses 3D, but it's kind of 3D, and it just throws off my equilibrium, and I can't deal with it. So I'm afraid VR would do that. There was a Star Wars ride at Disneyland that did that to me, and I got off of it. It took me like 15 minutes to recover, and so I don't want to, I'm afraid that'll happen with VR. But I've heard that that not a ton of people, but a good number of people have that problem.
Interesting.
So that's not helping.
No.
But, yeah, right now it remains more of a novelty, and we have been pushing it.
We've been pushing it
for
since
like 4 years.
Oh, I was going to say since like 1985.
No, but I'm saying since it came back and it's been better.
Do we ever get to the point where VR is like? Do we ever get to the point that all movies predicted that all video games are VR?
No, not any more than all video games are motion control. That's never going to happen.
Use your hands like a baby toy.
I think the leap has to be something like the holodeck. I know we brought this up before, but like
where there can't be accessories you have to put on yourself.
Yeah, it's got to feel like fully realistic and immersive, and like there are things that you could never do that are like complex and interesting for more than 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Because like, yeah, there's stuff you could do with the Wii with motion control you could never do before, but it felt like a thing that you'd go like pay $10 to do once, and then maybe you wouldn't want to come back and do it again. And so like, it was fun and it was worth doing for a while, but it didn't become the main way we play video games. And I guess what I'm saying is, like what is the thing that has to change before we're done with just controllers? Yeah, holodeck. We have to make that leap before people are ready to put controllers away. And even then, you'll see people go onto a holodeck to play video games. I swear to God. You know what I mean? The controller will never go away.
You met my friend John. He played Animal Crossing. And in Animal Crossing, you can go in the arcade and play the original Zelda. And so he played Animal Crossing to go in the arcade and play the original Zelda.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Because I do think people like the idea of living in a virtual world, but it can't be cumbersome, and it can't be just a gimmick.
Oh, well, that's my final topic.
There you go. Well, thanks for bringing that up. I was ready for that. Anyway, everybody, thanks a lot for watching. I sure appreciate it. I hope you had a good time, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Eric and I will also have another omnibus out not too long from now, in, I guess, a couple weeks. So, anyway, thanks again for watching, and we will see you again with more videos on the channel. I was Captain Logan.
And I was Eric.
Good night, folks.